Hello, this is a video tutorial on how to print a booklet using the Konica Minolta 700, 600 series MFPs, which stands for multifunctional printers. So in this tutorial, it also applies to booklets that might be in other formats, formatted sizes like 5.5 by 8.5. The only thing that would change, we would just select different paper sizes in our printer preferences. But in this case, we have our booklet, which is formatted to 8.5 by 11. And we're going to go through the process to show you how to print that to a booklet that is folded and saddle stapled or center stapled. So let's start off here. We're going to go up to our menu section here in our upper left-hand corner. We're going to click on that and we're going to select print. After we select print, this dialog box right here pops up. And the first thing that we want to do is here in the lower left-hand corner, we want to click on page setup. On doing so, in this dialog box here, this is the box how we can set up our paper size, our output source, and our orientation. Now, this booklet has been formatted to 8.5 by 11, but the final output will be on 11 by 17 paper. So in this area here where it says size, we want to select 11 by 17 paper. Our source will be the output tray of our Konica Minolta 600 or 700 series printer. In this case, I'm going to select tray 1. And our orientation is going to be landscape. So we're going to click that, and you can see immediately our diagram here changes. So click OK. And you can see here we have a small thumbnail of what the booklet will look like with our cover on the right-hand side and the last page of the booklet on the left-hand side. And here you definitely want to make sure that you click on booklet. Here we are going to be printing on both sides, sheets from 1 to 2. That just means we'll be using 2 sheets of paper for this particular booklet, which is 8 pages. We'll be using 2 sheets of 11 by 17. So from 1 to 2 is correct. Our binding, we want it to be left bind. That means that the booklet will turn its pages and the binding will be on the left side of the book, which will be our center staples when we get to that point. Our orientation is landscape. So we're good here on this page. Now we want to click our properties for our printer that we have selected. And our printer would be selected here. It's blacked out now, but we would select our printer from this drop-down menu here. So click on properties. And here we are going to primarily focus our attention to the right-hand side of these dialog boxes. This just gives you is going to give you kind of like a visual of how your book looks, and you can select icons and printer views and stuff like that down here. But for what we're doing today, we're going to be looking at this side of the dialog box. So we do have auto color selected, landscape because we previously selected that, 11 by 17, which is our original size of the paper of the document that we are going to be sending to the machine, and our paper size is going to be the same. Here on this other right-hand side here, we do want double-sided. We did previously select tray number 1. This part right here is going to be important. Paper type. When we click on this dialog box, you will see several different types of paper. And this is important because the setting at the printer position must match what you select here in the printing properties. So in this case, what I have already done before I started this video is I walked out to the Konica Minolta 600 series printer that we are using, and I selected tray number 1, and then I pushed a button called settings. And in that settings, it will show you various paper types. And because of the type of paper that we're using for this project, I chose to select thick 1 because this is a slightly thicker paper than 20 pound or 22 pound. I think it's about 28 pound. The GSM is a different number, but for this case and purposes, this is why we do this here. So that way, when we get to the part of the process when we actually want to click print the job, the computer and the printer at the printer position will have the same paper tray and paper type selected. So that's very important. A lot of people don't do that, and then they realize why their job didn't automatically start printing, and then they have to walk up to the machine and force to print. This will help alleviate that. Okay. So the next tab here is basic. When we click on that, it has some of the similar things that we've already selected: 8.5, landscape, paper tray, thick 1. On the layout tab, we go here. We do want it to print two-sided, and the default a lot of times is top bind, which is top bind is how when you have calendars and they flip up from the top. We don't want that in this case. We want to click on this tab here and select left bind, because that's what we want for our booklet. And as you can see, as we click through these preferences here, this image will change. It's giving you a slight visual of how your book will start to look. So then next we want to go to finishing, click on finishing. And here in finishing is where we want to tell the job how we want it to be finished, whether we want it stapled, center stapled in fold, or 2-hole punch, 3-hole punch, or just folded only. In this case, we want center, staple, and fold. So we want to select that. And notice when we selected this here, that a couple of little staples popped up. That's kind of letting you know that it's going to be stapled right there in the middle. So then we're going to move on. We're not going to worry about cover mode or stamp composition, because those don't apply to the type of job that we're doing here. But quality is one that you may want to take a note of, because under this quality tab, they have this thing called quality adjustment. And when you click on that, this dialog box here pops up, and you can see that it's defaulted to simple. You can also select detail. And if you want a little more detail in your project, whether it's text or photo, or if you have a table or graph or something of that nature, and a lot of these funeral programs, they're picture heavy. You have collages and things like that. So you may want to select photo to give a little more detail to your photo images. And then once you print a sample, you may want to adjust a little bit of brightness or a little contrast if your file needs that. But this is here for additional adjustments. So I'm going to leave this here. We're going to click OK. And we've done everything here. We're going to click OK. And now here we are ready to print our job. And you can select how many copies you want here and begin to print your job. The only difference in what we did here and a booklet that is set up for 8.5 by 5.5 size, we would start off again in our page setup button here, and then instead of selecting 11 by 17, because this now will be a 8.5 by 11 or 11 by 8.5 booklet now. And then once we select OK, and then if you notice up here, it changes to 11 by 8.5. And then we would continue the process that I previously just mentioned, but just making sure that instead of selecting 11 by 17, we select 8.5 by 11 or 11 by 8.5 in its place. Okay. So that's the only difference. If the booklet is a different size, you want to be mindful of that, but all of the other steps still apply. So I hope that this video tutorial was helpful for you. Stay tuned to our YouTube channel, where we're going to be talking about more tips and tricks for printing and graphic design. Have a great day.